Well, hi again, everybody. Doug Miles and Don Henderson as we come to you today. First day of April, yeah, in Sarasota, Florida. And Don, a beautiful day. We had a chance, obviously, to see a lot of spring training this year, but this week was finally opening day.
Yes, it was, and we saw a lot of Baltimore, and they got off to a great start up at Fenway Park on Thursday. Won the game. He had a big lead and sort of let it slip away, but won the game. I think it was 11-9 was the final score, and really they played very, very well. And the youngsters, we'll see how they do during the regular season. They've got a great farm system. They've got 10 players that are in the top 25 in all of baseball in the farm system. Many of them are now with the parent club for a period of time, and we'll see whether they can carry over.
A lot of optimism, obviously, we saw in the whole spring training because they had a good season last year, finished third in the division, and they had not had that in a long time. But I think they left camp feeling pretty good about themselves.
And especially the second half. They had a very, very solid second half. The younger players started to develop. One thing they don't have is a great deal of depth in starting pitching. Everybody's hoping that somewhere along the line between now and the trading deadline, which is a long way off, that they can come up with a legitimate starter.
Right.
They really need one solid starter.
And pitching, obviously, always the name of the game in baseball. And I know you and I were talking while we're at some of the spring training games about the Mets. For one example, Justin Verlander signing that huge contract, and of course doesn't even get to pitch the opening game. Or actually would have been the second game of the year, but he's out with a shoulder injury.
Yeah, unfortunately, a muscle pull, and they're not really giving a definitive answer as to how long.
Didn't sound good from what I heard.
Yeah, Buck's not really saying how long they think it's going to be. They put him on the 10-day disabled list, but a disability list. But at the same time, that's just for a few days to see what's happening.
Yeah, I know you and I were kind of just saying, good for him to get that kind of money, but what is he, 38, 39, and you sign him to that huge contract. You hope to get one good year out of him, but to come out of camp and then right away have that shoulder injury, which sounded almost like a rotator cuff kind of injury.
Well, Cohen's going to experience the same thing that many owners do coming in. He put out all this money,
$330 million, right?
90 million, I think, his total payroll this year, almost 400 million. And what happens is you come down with injuries, and Verlander didn't get to pitch the first game, and that's the things that happen in baseball. You have to hope that you have enough depth to work around injuries like that, and we'll see whether Buck Showalter can do it.
And Verlander was supposed to be the guy that kind of shored up the pitching staff because Scherzer got injured last year. Kind of fell tired at the end of the year and couldn't pitch into that playoff game.
Exactly the same thing that happened to him in the years before. When he got into September, he got a tired arm, and they were trying.
The Dodgers before that, right?
Yeah, they were trying to go with a six-man rotation so that they wouldn't have to use those two pitchers too much early in the early part of the season. Really hold off and save them. But now, Scherzer didn't really pitch badly, but he didn't come out.
It's really a tired arm more than an injury.
He didn't really pitch well in the first, and I shouldn't say well. He did not pitch as well as you would have expected in the first game. The Mets won it, but Scherzer didn't have a great day.
Yeah. Yankees, of course, get off to that great opening day start. They always seem to have a great opening day, and they did not disappoint. The close to sell out, right? You watched that game from New York, Yankee Stadium, and of course Judge hits the home run. And Cole has a good outing.
I would imagine that they called it a sellout, but
they always seem
so much they said.
Fudge that a little bit.
He talks about those people that are in the empty seats there back having a drink in the lounge.
That's right. And the $2,000 seats.
Yeah, so we'll wait and see what happens. But they had a marvelous crowd. It was a little chilly, around 40 degrees, but the Yankees got off to a great start. Second pitch, home run to start the season, so that turned out to be a great start.
I did not get a chance to see the Rays at all. Did you get a chance to see any of their opening games?
I did see a little bit of the Rays, and they won their opening game as well. And there was a lot of good baseball. The White Sox, I've seen two of their games so far. Excuse me. And they got off to a good start for their new manager
this year.
LaRosa retired, and they got off to a good start. They were supposed to be an outstanding club last year. They were very disappointing, just hung around 500, never really a factor. But it looks like they've got things together right now. And I think the White Sox are going to be tough in their division.
Yeah, they should be pretty good. A couple of pitch clock controversies, violations during the week. I saw a couple of videos, one in the Mets game, where actually it was kind of a weird one. They said the runner at first base did not get back to the bag in time, which in turn kind of slowed down the pitcher, and they called, I believe they called a ball on the pitcher.
Yeah, Buck Showalter said he wants a clarification. One third base umpire said one thing, the home plate umpire said something else, the first base umpire said something else. So he was going to get a clarification after the game because he thought it was a bad call.
Yeah. I think there was another game too, and I believe the Boston game. There was a called strike on the batter not looking like he was ready. So there's a few of them that happened around the league, and the umpires, like you said, seemed a little bit confused about what to do.
But the good thing about it is the average game for the first day, when all the teams played, the average game was 3 hours and 40 or 2 hours and 40 some minutes.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what they wanted. They wanted to get under 3 hours. They're well under 3 hours. 2 hours and 46 minutes, 2 hours and 45 minutes. And yesterday's games, a lot of them were very quick as well.
Yeah, and really no reason a 9-inning game should go more than 3 hours.
No.
Even with all the pitching changes. You said the Yankees did some pitching changes, but their game was still around 240, right?
Yeah, it's all around 240. And the Red Sox a little longer because it was 11-9, I think, the final score.
Right. So anyway, interesting, at least half the week. It started the middle of the week, so baseball underway a bit earlier than normal, but we'll see how that goes. Let's move on now. Of course, this weekend, the Final Four in basketball. Don, I know you've been glued to your set watching not only the men, but the women as well.
Boy, I'll tell you, I watched the women's semifinals last night, and Dawn Staley, of course, from Philadelphia and a great coach at South Carolina, had won 36 consecutive games and lost last night by 4. A young lady by the name of Clark for the opposition, Iowa, which I didn't know that much about Iowa, but this young lady has scored 40 points in 2 consecutive games, the first time in the history of the women's finals or tournament that one player scored more than 40 points.
Back to back. Yeah.
And she did it in both games, and I'll tell you, what a great performance she put on last night. I mean, it was a great game all the way down. Dawn Staley's done a terrific job. Nobody expected South Carolina to lose, and they lost by 4.
And unfortunately, on the men's side, your alma mater didn't quite make it, huh?
No, I told you the story. I'm rooting for Texas to win against Miami. And after the game's over, my grandson told me, said, "You got Miami in the pool." And so now I'm in the Final Four.
Good news, bad news there, right?
Yeah, it was good news, bad news. I lost on Texas, but Miami is in the pool, and I'm with them.
So if Don holds on and Miami wins, dinner's on Don next
That's
week.
it.
Right?
Go for it. Go for it.
Of course, UConn, the overall favorite.
Yes, Danny Hurley has done a terrific job at UConn, and you look at their margin of victory in every game, it's been like 16 or 17 points.
Yeah.
They're going to be a prohibitive favorite in the semifinals as well as the finals. But it'll be interesting to see whether Miami can stay with them. But it should be a fun game, and then the finals, of course, will be. Everybody is anticipating it's going to be UConn, and Hurley's a unique story because he and his brother Bobby both coached at Wagner just after my grandson graduated from Wagner, and then he went
Staten Island.
Yeah, he went to Rhode Island. Danny went to Rhode Island, and then of course took over in Connecticut. He's been there 4 years. But the strange part about it is he's one of the first Division I coaches that never was an assistant coach or head coach at any college basketball team. He came right at St. Benedict's, went to Wagner to Connecticut. Never was an assistant coach or a head coach.
Always a head coach.
Yep. Yeah. Never at any Division I
Which is
school.
an unusual path. It's very difficult to do.
First one that I could ever think of that did it.
Right. And been successful.
Oh, very successful. Very. And so is his brother at Arizona State.
Yeah.
Of course, his brother was a famous player at Duke.
Right.
And then had the terrific accident, the automobile accident, and it really put him back. But now he's 100%, and he's coaching at Arizona State. They did not get into I don't think they get into the tournament. I don't want to say that definitely. I don't think they did.
We'll wrap up kind of a departure from sports, but here in Sarasota the last week and through this weekend is the Sarasota Film Festival, and I had a chance to see one of the films last night. I guess everybody loved Mary Tyler Moore. There was a documentary they did called Being Mary Tyler Moore that aired or was actually shown last night here in town. I had a chance to see it. Don, I wish you could have as well, but I know you didn't get a chance to see her when she was doing her TV show, but it's actually a 2-hour documentary, a little mini review here for those of you out there interested. and I thought it was very well done. Of course, Mary Tyler Moore, back to the old Dick Van Dyke Show, where she played the wife of Rob Petrie. She was Laura Petrie. Then, of course, the iconic show in the 70s where she played Mary Richards, working in the newsroom in Minneapolis, and kind of gives her whole life story. Her husband, the last husband she had, was a doctor. He was the producer on it, so they had a lot of kind of unseen before footage and pictures of her life. And a little bit sad because she had kind of a tough life. Her father was an alcoholic, and she had some health problems over the years, both the diabetes. Dealt with a drinking problem at one time, and overcame a lot, but kind of left show business at the end of her career, lived up in New York for the last 10 years of her life.
Well, one of the interesting things, Dick Van Dyke, of course, one of the most talented actors and dancers and singers and everything he could ever come, of course, with her in the first series. And, of course, he was an alcoholic as well.
Right.
And she was an alcoholic and had her problems, but you said son killed himself, and then she had physical health problems herself. Little tragedy at the end for somebody that was so successful and yet had all the problems. And Dick Van Dyke's having the same problems. He ran first of all, his Jaguar burned up, and he was in that.
Right.
And then 2 weeks ago, he ran into a fence. With his car. And they had
I believe he's 97. 96,
yeah. And I'm saying, well, maybe you ought to give up driving for a while.
At least somebody in the car happened to. But yeah, he had a brief clip in the movie, more voiceovers. They had a lot of people that worked with him over the years that and talk about it. I thought it was very good. I thought it was, if I had a criticism of it, I'd say it was too long, 2 hours. Okay. It's a long documentary. I mean, I love Mary Tyler Moore, who doesn't? And I think it also got a little bit heavy into the meaning of her show. She kind of represented the feminist movement, women's lib, and all that.
Yeah,
maybe that's true. I don't know.
That thing about the ear and all that, was that her?
That's Carol Burnett.
Oh, that's Carol Burnett. Okay.
Yeah, pulling on the ear. But I thought that angle of the documentary probably added maybe a half an hour too long to it. So if I was going to say any criticism, it was about a half an hour too long. But if you're a fan of Mary Tyler Moore, I believe this is going to be shown on HBO. So a lot of the movies down here are eventually shown on cable. So I'd recommend it, but we want to give a little review here of Being Mary Tyler Moore.
I let you do all my movie reviews. I don't see very many movies.
You and I did the one on Bollettieri.
Yes, we did. That's the last one I saw
at the film festival.
And poor Bollettieri passed away. But that was, I got to say, that was very good. It was on HBO for a long time, too.
Right.
We saw it, the documentary here when it first came out, and he made a little speech afterwards. And Dick Vitale, of course, chimed in, a great tennis enthusiast.
Right.
And but you're right. With some of these documentaries are very, very good. His was one that was very good.
Yep, he passed away last year, of course. Bollettieri, I believe, was 91. So anyway, that's our film review. But Don, I'll wrap it up for this week, right?
I'll do it.
We'll talk to you again next time. Thanks for watching.